Hi, Michael Pillen here. And listen, guys, as I always start my events, action takers are the money makers. And I've got two action takers with me today to train you. I've got Chris, Mr. Excitement Palmer, and Craig, Get It Done Campbell. So welcome, guys. Welcome. Hey, so you guys gave me about 60 questions, some basic, some not so basic. And we're going to try to answer all those as quickly as possible. Now, all of you know that over the years, I've created systems that have generated over $50 million. Now, obviously, I didn't get all that $50 million. If I had, I wouldn't be here today. As much as I like you, I would be gone. But today, I've never told you this before. Don't listen to Michael Penland. Listen to Chris and Craig, because they are the true experts in SEO. And if you guys listen carefully, by the end of this training, you're actually going to have a system, a mini system, if you will, the steps you need to take to actually get more sales, more clients, more leads. So listen close and take some notes and do what we're telling you to do today. So the first question I have here, and I'm going to combine two of these. The first question is, what are the top 5 most common mistakes people make in SEO? And the other question that I think goes with that is, if you could give me just one of the most important things to focus on before anything else, what would it be? So the 5 most common mistakes made. Here's mine. Mine is lack of research. I see too many people not doing enough research. Here's the big problem I see a lot of affiliate marketers have made, and myself included many years ago, is they pick a product they fall in love with without an audience to market to. So my formula is find a hungry market first. You know, as Gary Halbert used to say, if you and I are going to start a restaurant, what advantage would you want? Would you want the best hamburger meat? Would you want the best location? What would you want? Well, his answer was, I'd want a hungry audience. Well, my answer is, I want a hungry audience with money. Okay, so that's who you should be marketing to. Find the audience first, then find your product, affiliate product, your own product, whatever it might be, and market to that audience, because it's much easier to sell to those who are hungry than those who are just looking for freebies. Okay, and also with keyword research, you guys are not digging deep enough. I'm talking specifically here to my audience. You know, you're not going to rank for lose weight or how to lose weight. You know, maybe how to lose weight in your face or something. I don't know. But, you know, dig deep. Go for the long tail, and then really, you know, build off the long tail for the head keywords. The other thing I see a lack of research in, and Chris, I've noticed has mentioned this a lot before, is that too often people are not looking at their competitors enough. They're not looking to see what those who are ranking the top of Google are doing. So look at them, look at what they're doing, see the structure, you know, what platform they're using, a word count, tags, everything. See exactly what they're doing, and then give Google what Google wants. That requires research. You can't do that sitting down for 5 minutes. So take some time. Now, I finished talking, and I'm going to let Craig and Chris really give you the gems here today. So, Craig, if I were to ask you, what are the 5 most common mistakes made in SEO, what would you tell people?
There's quite a few of them. One, following the wrong people. I see people believing, you know, all of these different things. Second one, not taking action. So there's so much good information out there, and you know, I'm not talking about just myself. Chris Palmer, yourself, many other people are giving snippets of information on all different things, and people are not taking action with that information. So they're going, oh yeah, CTR works, Chris does that really well, and they don't do it. They just look at it, they embed it in their brain, they don't take action. So that's the second most common thing. Third, you know, I would tend to agree in terms of research and analysis of competition. That's the first thing I'd be looking at. How's that guy doing it? I want some of what he's got, and I want to beat him into the ground. So, you know, competitor analysis, whatever you want to call it, backlink analysis, all of that kind of stuff all comes into researching your competition. Why do you research your competition? Because these guys are winning and you're not. So you need to find the steps in between to climb that ladder. And a lot of people don't do that. You know, the fourth most common thing is people wildly just throw content out there. So people will come up with content and they'll say, oh yeah, I've got this VA, and that VA writes 500 words of content targeting different locations or whatever it might be. Now, who the hell said it's 500 keywords you're supposed to be targeting? Again, they're not using the appropriate tools and they don't understand the whole concept. So they're not even writing content properly. People are not even doing the basics properly. And that is number 4. Number 5, is people overcomplicate this game in their brains. Now, I've done SEO, from the ground up. I've been a freelancer. I've built an agency. I do affiliate marketing. I've came a long way. Now, I understand how all the nuts and bolts work, but now I see SEO or projects that I work on as an investment. So I will allocate, I'll buy a new age domain, for example, for what I do at affiliate marketing. I'll buy the age domain. I'll have a budget for content. I'll have a budget for links. People are not spending the right amount of money in SEO. So people will come back and say, yeah, I've been paying this agency $200 and, I've been paying them for a year and nothing much is happening. You're like, well, what do you expect for $200? Come on, drop some content on there. You need some pace, you need some, you're sitting there with like 5 pages of content. So, budget's a massive thing. And, even for me, it pains me. I'm a Scotsman and it pains me to pay out money for content, links and everything else. But you have to do it. If you don't, then someone's going to run away with all the traffic. So that's 5 things that I see on a regular basis.
Okay, Craig. Hey, listen, I want to zero in on one of those. I think another mistake people are making, for example, I don't do anything for less than $5,000. So you can be a $500 a month SEO guy, or you can be a $5,000 a month SEO guy. Why are you selling yourself short? Some of you guys on here right now that I just let in, you're selling yourself, you're worth more than you're charging your clients. So, just because everyone else is charging $500 or $1,000 a month for the service that you can provide doesn't mean you have to be paid that price. It's all about positioning yourself. And Craig, I think, fully understands positioning of himself in the marketplace. Absolutely. So, Chris, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but how about you? What mistakes can you add to?
Well, I think that I actually wrote down a couple here while I was thinking about them. So I think the first one is scared to ask. You'll get caught learning something or doing something and you're scared to go and get the answer or find where the answer is. And that leads me to the second mistake, which is see who's doing it well, whatever it is. If you're doing affiliate, you're doing local, whatever you're doing, see who's doing it well, pick 2 guys, follow them. Just like what Craig said, don't go chasing ideas. So pick 2 guys, follow what they're doing and run with it. Because I think all systems work initially or most of the time. It's just a matter of following it through. The next piece is don't be afraid to copy the winners. Meaning, who's winning at the top. So competitive analysis, if we're talking about SEO, they've already gone through all the hurdles. They have all the arrows in their back, right? So do not be scared to follow what's working and then run with that. So match, mirror, and then you'll beat them.
Great, Chris.
The next piece that I wrote is don't forget the fundamentals, because you'll start seeing shiny objects. You'll see the CTR, you'll see this, you'll see that. Do not forget the basics. The basics are 80% of everything. And then chasing the new stuff. This is the last one. So chasing the new ideas. And it goes back to almost the fundamentals, like all these new shiny things, the tools and this and that. Find your process and stick with it. You'll be so much better off. So that's going to be the 5 that I would say.
Okay, great. So if you had to give those listening and watching the one thing to focus on above everything else in regard to SEO or affiliate marketing, what would it be?
Fundamentals. Master the basics. If you master the basics, everything else is just extra. Most of the guys get lost in the detail, but if you can master the basics, you'll be winning.
All right, thanks. Listen, guys, some of you that just joined us, I've cut off your video because I'm recording this and I just want the pretty faces on here. Craig, look at it. Look at that face, man. But seriously, thanks for being here, guys. And we're going to try to answer these 60 questions. The next question I have is from a smart aleck friend of mine. And so he's a pretty big star marketer. Here's his question. Remember, watch the mouth, Craig. Uh, there are two popular words most SEO people start all their answers with. Those words are, it depends. My question is, what are the top 5 things an SEO question is dependent on? So I'm assuming he wants to know why it always begins with it depends. And so what does it depend on the answer? So how would they give a more intelligent question to you?
You know, sometimes people ask other SEOs questions and people will say it depends in a lot of cases because what works for me might not be the way Chris Palmer attacks it. Now, we both, at the end of it, are probably going to get somewhere close to the same result, but he might attack it, you know, in a slightly different way. He might do some other thing first or something else second. There might be a different sequence of events that he follows that works for him. So, but you know, the thing is with SEO, there's no right or wrong answer to doing things. And there's no right or wrong thing to take shortcuts on. So people will say it depends because there's also multiple ways that you might attack a strategy and again be more aggressive. So for example, I'm relatively well known for being black hat and being able to push the boundaries, and other people say, oh, it depends, you know, on how aggressive the client, if you're doing client work, wants you to be. So it depends comes up a lot because there normally is 4 or 5 answers to the one question. What should you do first? Well, it depends. You know, really, does the guy have crap content? Does he have underlying technical issues? Does he severely lack in links? You know, there's so many different things. So that's why they say, I would say that they say it depends. But obviously, other people will say it depends because they don't really know the answer. And it's a stalling technique. And they'll go, oh, it depends. Let me think. And you know, they pluck something out. So, but it depends for me. Really is. You know, if you come to me with a kind of broad question, I'll be like, well, it depends on how I look at that or what I do first or what the budget is or, you know, what the client's prepared to do. So it depends for me is just that.
Yeah. And, you know, it's a lot like if someone asks you a question that is similar to how long is the string or how long is a piece of string, you know, so it depends on the question too, I think. Chris, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. It depends on what's the niche, what's the category, and where are they at in the process. That's usually when it's, oh, well, it depends. It depends on you, the niche, what you're targeting. That's when that answer usually comes out.
And the person's budget comes into the equation as well.
Big time.
Depends, because if we have $5,000 a month or $5,000 a month, we can attack things a little more aggressively than you could for 1 month, $1,000 a month.
Yeah, you know, now, one of the things I promised those that were going to watch this was that we'd reveal 3 secrets we'd never revealed before. So you guys can be thinking about that. And I like what you mentioned about black hat, because that's what everyone wants to hear. They'll abuse it, misuse it, and destroy it. But, you know, so don't share anything that's really real great. I mean, you guys must understand watching that if you came on here thinking we're going to give you our very best, you're mistaken. That's not going to happen. I mean, I'm sorry. And Chris and Craig may disagree with me, but, you know, I'm not going to give away what's working that I know works that other people may not know about yet. I may sell it to you later, but I'm not going to give it to you. All right.
Well, the secret.
Okay, here's the question, Chris. Really? What are the best opportunities in 2021 for lead gen and SEO?
Biggest opportunities for lead gen and SEO? Well, that's 2 separate things. Right?
Yes. Okay.
So for lead generation, that's, you want me to give you a niche?
Yes, sure. Yeah. Give us something great.
I don't, I mostly deal with timeshares and travel clubs. So right now, the best opportunity for me is travel clubs and doing virtual meetings like this. Virtual dinner parties is what is currently working for us. You know, with the cold outreach, and instead of inviting them for a dinner party, I'm able to get them to, the objective is to get them virtual so we could sell them. So that's what's working for us.
Okay, Chris, so how would you take that and move that into a different niche or niche?
Well, it's the same exact, however you're doing your marketing, you have to be able to think about it from a virtual standpoint. So you're probably, maybe you're dropping mail, maybe you're doing cold outreach, If you're just doing content marketing, you're still trying to get them into a funnel to get them to an in-person or on a phone call most of the time, right? So you just have to think about it from a virtual standpoint. I'm not necessarily lead gen. I only do those two things. So I only know from that experience. And as far as SEO, the best opportunity, it has been the same exact thing. The best opportunity is what's the lowest keyword difficulty keywords that we can target that are actually going to bring in traffic, which are getting far and fewer between. So,
yeah, the basics really don't change, do they?
Never.
The basics never change, really. So, Craig, how about you? What opportunities?
I mean, for me, the most simple and effective way for lead gen is to work on GMBs. You don't even need a website. So, you know, if you want to make some quick cash right now, it doesn't matter what niche you're in, you know, whether that's home improvements, whether it's something else, GMBs do not have to have a website to rank well. They're quick, they're easy to manipulate, you can do them at pace, and you really can do a lot of lead gen from as a result of that. And obviously you can use your common sense to not probably try and fight in New York. You know, there's probably areas surrounding New York or whatever that is going to be a little bit easier. But people are doing that in a massive scale and making a lot of money on lead gen just from GMBs and selling those leads on to, you know, either to companies like eLocal, or you just go to someone privately and just say it's going to be $10 a lead or whatever it's going to be. And before you ask me what the prices of those leads are, it depends on the niche. So a guy fixing a roof, you're probably going to get $5-10. Someone redoing the whole roof, you can charge more. But what I would say, if you're going to attack such a strategy, try and look for professional people, lawyers and stuff like that, because you will be able to get a higher per lead cost for that rather than dealing with home improvements. So that would be the thing I would start with in terms of lead gen, and not having a lot of capital to invest in it. Very easy to do. The kind of local stuff, again, you know, I think you could get a lot, local SEO, you can get a lot out of mass page and blanketing areas, and also tying that in with the kind of GMB thing as well. So I think that can work relatively well. I know people that blanket areas. I know people that steal unverified listings and all of that stuff, and they basically cover a whole area, not just with GMBs, but they will hit all of the surrounding areas with you know, mass page builders. And as long as you've got the right ratio, which I believe is 80-20 in terms of having unique content on each of those pages, you can really do a lot of damage in terms of rankings, organic rankings. I don't want to be solely reliant on GMBs, but so much traffic goes through GMBs, it's unreal. But you know, you want to back that up with some good organic traffic. So those two pinned together would be a good business model.
Great. Listen, I got two questions about GMB. So you guys get ready. These are pretty good. With a large number of features inside GMB today, which are the most important to focus on first? And does using more of the features available help your rankings?
So the main thing that you want to guarantee as far as features is, where am I getting the listing verified at? So the proximity to the money, right? So that's the first thing. The second most important feature is, what categories am I targeting in secondary categories? So the proximity is key. Getting it verified and getting those addresses is the best. And then as far as filling out all the details, I think that each of those details are considered a trust chip. So the more elements that I can put in place, the better off I am.
Good. So how effective are using maps for increasing the rank of GMBs and local websites? And how many should it take to see results?
So as far as maps and GMB, we're almost pretty much looking at the same exact thing. We want to get as many positions on the board as we could possibly get, verified or unverified. So the more positions we can have, the more chances and possibilities that we have to actually get a phone call. That's why it's the main driving factor, right? Because we want to generate calls. So it's highly important for rankings and getting phone calls primarily. You want as many as you could get.
Right. Okay, great. Listen, let's jump from these kind of random questions here to a category. let's talk for a moment about keywords. Okay. And here I got a lot of questions about keywords. The first one was, do individual keywords still matter in Google as far as SEO is concerned? Individual keywords.
100%.
Yes.
One page, one idea, one keyword. You still need to have the keyword. There's a lot of chatter, but at the end of the day, I have to have the keyword in specific places on the page in order for Google to know what that page is about. So they're very important. Yes.
Okay. Here's the how long is a piece of string question. Okay. How do I choose keywords for SEO?
Based on my competitor. So I need to have my top level keywords. So I know my money keywords are first, but I need keywords that are going to support that to start bringing me content or traffic. So that's how I do it, based upon here's my top level, and then what's my competitors bringing traffic in. I'm going to start picking those off.
So what tools would you use to find keywords?
SEMrush.
SEMrush?
Yep.
I knew that would be your answer already, but yeah.
Yeah. SEMrush is money. I mean, if you're just searching, Wordsy's good. There's a plethora of free tools out there, but SEMrush is the go-to.
Yeah, I think that, Craig, do you have a preference?
SEMrush, 100%.
Okay, great. Okay, here's another question in regard to keywords. Is there an SEO advantage from parking a long tail keyword domain over a page with the same name? I don't even understand the question. So
you're gonna take a long tail keyword. If I'm gonna park it and that was generally getting traffic, like if that domain I'm gonna park was generating traffic, and then what we're gonna forward it over to our other domain, is that what we're talking about?
That's what I assume he's talking about. I have no idea.
The only way that's going to cause any effect that's going to be beneficial is is there any links, but I don't know if I'd park it. And two, is that pushing traffic? So that's the only way. But parking, maybe 301 it. I don't know about parking it. I don't know about that. Craig, what do you think?
The way I've understood that question is, if you're targeting, SEO in Florida, for example, and your name's chrispalmermarketing.com, and you have SEO Florida, would you park that and forward on to that? Absolutely not. If it's not get traffic, not get links, parking that domain, it's not going to give you any value. Unless you're going to add value on that domain, building links, adding content and everything else, then it's pointless parking it. It's not going to do anything. It's going to die. So it's just a waste of space. It's probably even a waste of the $10 per month, per year that you're doing to reignite it. So I wouldn't be parking it. I would potentially put up a secondary website or something like that with that domain name. I certainly wouldn't be parking it or pointing it to a page with no authority or power behind it.
Unless you want to snap up the .com, .net, .org so your competitors can't. That would make sense too.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. So the other question in regard to keywords is, in the past, an exact match domain was beneficial.
100.
So what is your thoughts on that today?
Absolutely. If it's one of the leading factors in the URL, if I can get the keyword in the URL, we're step one. Okay, we just got a chip. I think it's still highly effective. Absolutely.
It's certainly, in my opinion, not as effective as it once was back in the day. I used to have a lot of exact match domain names, and you throw up one page of content and boom, position one you were for that domain name. So I think it was weighted very highly in the past. I still think it helps massively just now, but it's not as powerful as it once was. Certainly not.
That's true. Right.
So I know both of you guys have talked in the past about keyword clusters, or I don't know what terminology you guys use, but or remember. But so how important is that? In other words, rather than just trying to rank for one keyword on a page, what formula could you use to help you to rank for more keyword phrases or search terms on that page?
Well, and I touched on it briefly. It's siloing. So I'm targeting my top level, right? My top level keyword. And then I'm figuring out what other keywords is my competitor bringing in that I can create supporting articles, right? So it's just supporting content. So siloing is really what we're looking at. That's what I would be doing.
And you want to cluster them together. Topical clustering or keyword clustering is, you need to understand whether you make supporting pages, as Chris says, or those supporting pages could actually be put into the main page to squeeze that for more keywords, because you don't want cannibalization. You don't need that kind of stuff. So can you, you have to understand whether Google understands or sees them as separate pages, or do you need supporting content? So that is where it's important to figure that out, because we've all been there in the past where, we've had cannibalization. We've just went keyword here.
Craig, explain that term to everybody, because a lot of my people who are watching will not understand that term, cannibalization. Could you explain that too?
It basically is another page that's competing for the same search term that you're going after. So for example, I'll use Chris as an example. Chris Palmer might have an SEO Florida page on his website, and it ranks really well. Now, do we need another SEO Florida page on that website? Absolutely not. Now, a lot of people make this silly mistake where they'll have multiple pages on their website targeting the same bloody search term. Now, Google is not going to reward one URL with multiple listings. Now, you'll argue with me and say, well, I've seen this really crappy niche, and some guy has got 3 URLs on page 1. In a competitive market, that's not going to happen. And you only need 1 page per 1 keyword. You do not need multiple pages. And a lot of people do that. And basically, it's called cannibalization. You're competing with yourself, and then Google gets confused. And what you'll probably find is that your pages will probably sit, a lot lower down. And if you were to add a canonical tag, and again, people would be like, what is that? If Chris was having multiple pages on SEO Florida and I was asked to come and fix it, I'd be finding out what was the main page that is really important. And I would put a canonical tag to the SEO Florida page from all the other pages to say, this is my main article for SEO Florida. So hopefully that explains it.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, very good, very good. Hey, in regard to ranking for different keywords on a particular page, how does Google passages play into that? Is Google ranking a particular part of that?
It's an enhancement algorithm. So it's a passages, to me, is they're just pulling out a piece that's the most highly relevant in order to post, almost like a snippet or frequently asked. It's just an algorithm that take out the most specific details within that page. So it's not something to optimize for. It's super hyped up, and I wouldn't be concerned with such things.
Let me give you another super hyped up, in my opinion. Now, remember, Craig, we're let me find this question. I had this especially for Craig, Chris, but you feel free to jump in there, okay?
No, I'm sorry.
Well, it has to do with, I actually heard this on one of your virtual events the other day. I can't even find it now. I was laughing at Craig the whole time he's talking about it. So here it is, Craig. Google's introducing a new ranking signal, supposedly in May, in regard to core web vitals. So what effect is that going to have on your websites and maybe on other websites, do you feel? Is that something that we should be focused on, giving our attention to? A simple yes or no answer, Craig, will be sufficient here.
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Craig. Go ahead. Chop it to pieces.
I think, Google and everyone else just talk one load of garbage. Not all the time, but there's all these core web vitals and everything else. Now, is that going to affect 100% of your website or 80% of your website or anything like that in terms of ranking? Absolutely not. Now, people might obsess over it, and it will probably work out at 0.00001% if you were to focus on it. It's going to make that much of a difference. The same way the SSL certificates, where apparently you weren't going to rank if you didn't have an SSL certificate. Load of garbage. It's sales, it's marketing, it's the game we play. When that SSL certificate thing came out, for example, I don't know the figures here, but billions of pounds probably were spent on scaremongering, saying you're no longer going to rank unless you get an SSL certificate. Now, I've got test websites, crappy websites that still rank with no SSL certificate.
I've got some of those, actually.
So you know, that's the kind of garbage you're getting out of Google's mouth. Now, I'm not saying Core Web Vitals is something that's complete garbage, but it's probably going to have very minimal impact on you. But everyone in the world's going to be, oh, this guy said this, or this guy said that, or Google said this. They all start obsessing, digging deep into it. Now, you can dig deep all day long. I'll still be doing content and links. I'm not interested in small gains. Fuck that.
That's right.
I think we're pretty clear on your stand on that, Craig. Okay, I had a couple questions about social media. How much relevance do the search engines impart to social media links to a website?
Again, it goes, if we like EAT as a metric, right? If we like that, right? Authority and trust is really what we're looking at. I think it's just another trust chip. It's just part of the process in the beginning stages. It's just part of the matrix, you know?
So how would you leverage that, Chris? For example, if a person's just starting a website, an affiliate website, for example, or they're doing something for their local business, how would you leverage social media initially?
Well, for me, the first one is going to be, I want to set up all the profiles just to have them. Secondly, I want to be able to get them connected so I can auto post all of them using something maybe like IFTTT, you know, so I can get content onto most of them. But most importantly, if I'm doing affiliate, I'm focusing hyperly on YouTube because I can target other results and get immediate rankings for a lot of keywords. You know, not a lot. What I'm getting at is it's easier because now I'm starting with a highly authoritative domain. Some of them I can really scoot in there and get a quick result. So that's how I would leverage it.
Someone asked about using medium.com to get traffic. Are you using that? If so, what's the best way to use this? I know Chris has a video on that, actually.
Yeah, I do like Medium to a degree. I use it maybe not how you would use it, but it's all the same platform. It's all the same domain. So if we look at a SERP for a keyword and Medium's being rewarded, I'll just go copy the entire domain that's already winning, copy it, paste it, and just change the details to mine, and I'll get immediate rank. Because it's the same platform. It's already being rewarded by Google. I'm taking the same article, the same stuff, the same densities. Everything's the same. The only thing different is now it's my product. And then I get rewarded. It works.
Good. Thanks, Chris. Now, so Craig's grinning. I'm going to ask the hard question, Craig. What can you share with everyone watching that you've never publicly shared before? A secret in regard to SEO or affiliate marketing or GMBs?
Something I've never publicly shared. I mean, I share a lot publicly, but probably more than I should. But what I would say to someone is, and you can try this because you're probably going to try and call me out on it, or someone will try and call me out on it. What I would say is, again, I'm going to use Chris Palmer as an example. So Chris has an amazing article on his website. And I really like it, and I really want to rank well for that search term. And I quite like that content as well. A lot of people would just copy and paste the article. That to me is quite silly. Obviously, that page is going to struggle to rank for obvious reasons. Now, if I was to put a picture, take a screenshot of that article and place that on my blog, will that rank? All I'm going to say is go and try it. That is all I'm going to say. If you believe that Google can't read an image and the text within that image, then you're seriously deluded, put it that way. So try it out, a screenshot of someone's page, just place that screenshot on there, no other text, no other things, and tell me that doesn't work. That's all I'm going to say.
Nice share, Craig. Chris probably has a question about that. I don't know. Maybe not.
I mean, I could expand on that, but I think we'll leave it at that. I was going to go, instead of a hack, I was going to give two maybe different types of tips I haven't shared. One would be for Facebook, especially for affiliates. Say we're going to start our ad campaigns. One of the first things that I would do is within my personas, right? When you have you probably have persona accounts. You want to follow that person where your ad is going to be. Follow the link and then give yourself feedback on that ad. It's going to allow you to propel that ad. So ad feedback is a big key factor, and you want to spike that immediately, right? So the second piece is what I've found is with Google Books, I'll just leave it at this as if you want to be an authority for a specific keyword, create a Google book on that keyword. All right.
Nice share. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. So in regard to backlinks, let's talk about some backlinks for a moment. Do you have any tips, any good tips? I even hate to use this term, white hat backlinks or gray hat or black. See, I don't really think I think it's all.
That's it.
I think if I can get away with it and rank, it's good.
Craig calls it money hat, I think.
Yeah.
So Craig, any tips?
There's an outrageous amount of tips out there. The one that a lot of people don't really click on with or don't really understand, which I quite like, is the image trick that I have spoken about several times, where large PR companies always credit the image source, for whatever that image is. Now, if I was to Google something like the New York Times, copyright unknown, I would be faced with a whole bunch of articles that have images on there where the New York Times have no clue that where that image came from. Now, essentially, I could reach out to them saying it's my image and I want a credit for it with a link under that image. Now, most times people say, that can't work. Now, think about this. You're approaching probably some young member of staff in there who's just got editorial access, who doesn't want any trouble. So depending on the way that you craft that email, now I've committed felonies, as you guys call them out in America, by impersonating or sending an email from what looks like a legal person's website, so a lawyer's website, saying you're using my client's image. Can you please just credit them? They don't want any trouble. They just want credited for their image. And normally that's enough to push that editor over the edge and give me a link for an image that's not mine. And I'm basically getting high, insane. It would cost me, probably $1,000 or something to be in the New York, get a link from the New York Times. That's why we all do PR. Let's not kid ourselves. So you're saving thousands and thousands of pounds to get those high value PR links by simply, preying on someone that's vulnerable, that doesn't understand what they're doing, that, and I mean that as the editor, and maybe giving them a bit of a scare with the lawyer website. They're not going to go to the guy that owns the New York Times and say, oh, this guy's messaged me asking for a link. They just do it and, don't want to bother the boss. So 9 times out of 10, that trick works. Be careful, don't impersonate a lawyer, but that trick works very well. Just use your own creative mind on how to figure that one out.
Very good, very good. Chris, anything?
I'll expand on that. So we don't have to commit a felony, right? So and I've given this away early on in the days, but this is very effective. So almost the same way, but first, if we go through Wikipedia Wikipedia Commons, and we're able to upload images at scale, targeting multiple keywords that are getting high traffic, we can then, when you go into search, most people are just looking for free images and they paste them, right? So you can get those into the Google search free so they can find them, Google Images, it'll come up first. You're able to just use it. You'll notice that a lot of sites will start using them, but then you outreach to them, even though it's free to use, then you outreach and say, hey, it's my image, and then you can get a link. So this is a way that we can do it more cleverly without breaking too many laws.
Very good. I like that, Chris. Very good. And Craig, yours is great too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If I use an anonymous name and mask everything. Well, here's a question in regard to niche relevant backlinks. How important are those?
I would say fairly important. I think Google is swaying more towards relevance, and what I would also say to people who say a link is a link, now that might still be the case for a lot of just now, but I would be thinking about future-proofing your business and future-proofing your link building, your backlink profile. So do try and sway more toward relevance. It's common sense. Google's going to reward links that are relevant rather than something that's not relevant, and they are already claiming to be looking more at relevance. Whether that's actually that true just now or how much importance is on that is debatable, but I think it would make common sense to do that, and I would lay quite a lot of importance on it.
1,000,000%. So I have to agree, topical is going to be very important, and 1,000,000%. And if you have no other option, then you can force topical clustering. So by creating an intermediary or a buffer page that is hyper relevant, build your links to that and then to your page. This way we can almost guarantee our topical. That would be ideal. That's what I like to do anyway. I'm sure.
Manipulate that stuff and make it relevant. And I think that's where being creative, thinking outside the box is really important. And I think I was on a show the other day with Mike and Brad, and we were talking about that. How do you make a florist relevant to a builder? Now, you can do that. You can make a florist link relevant to a builder as long as there's something in between that you can do that. So you just have to use creativity and make it relevant. And that's the easiest thing in the world to manipulate.
Good, very good. Chris, could I ask you to share, please, your thoughts on using 301 redirects? I know I've watched a video you did about how to do that a little differently than most people do that. Could you just quickly share that?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean, but 301 redirects, I
think you mentioned redirect, the 301 redirect to a 301 redirect to the site. Did I misunderstand that?
Well, a 301 to 301 is to get out of a penalty. I've done double 301 redirects in order to do that. But aside from that, the 301s are if we're able to acquire multiple domains and the link and that domain is getting a link to one page that's, say, a Forbes link, I just want a 301 redirect that one page over to something I want to rank. So it's almost like I'm getting that Forbes link, but I didn't have to pay a G, So
yeah. Can I get one other thing on that subject? So if you do have a domain that has a penalty and you don't want to do what Chris said, a double 301 to so that the penalty is not passing over, a canonical also doesn't pass a penalty. So just bear that in mind as well. So canonical does not, under any circumstances, pass a penalty. If you do a 301 direct to the new website, you can pass a penalty over. So Chris's way is right. I'm not saying that's not, but you can, if you have a website, you spammed it to death and you've been done over. Now, what you can do is create a new domain name and canonical that stuff over, and you pass the value, but not the penalty. And that's where you get a lot of people coming out of, with a brand new website, coming out the traps very, very quickly.
But it has to be identical.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has to be identical content in order for that to be effective. Just as if you're they both work though, but it has to be identical content. That's canonical means identical.
Sure. All right. Good. So let me ask you this question. Do PBNs still work, and how many backlinks should you have and what kind? So I assume the person's asking what type of link from the PBN to either your buffer site or your money site should you have?
Yeah, well, this goes back to topical and quality, and then the amount is until I rank. So it's and give plenty of time in between. So we're going to build maybe one or two of the highest relevance and the highest power we can, the best we can afford. And then we have to give it at least 45 days, 30 to 45 days to see, okay, is there an effect? Yes or no? Did we move up? Did we move down? What's going on? And then move on to our next. You should already be moving on to the next anyway, but give it time. Don't build 100 links or 1,000. One or two quality links, give it some time, check your rankings.
Here's a simple yes or no answer.
Sure.
Is it possible to rank a website without backlinks?
A whole website or one piece of content?
A page.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Let's jump over to YouTube videos, and I have several questions about that. How do you get a video to rank at the top of YouTube when there are hundreds, if not thousands, competing for the same search phrase?
There's two ways. Most commonly, it's volume. Volume for the same keyword under a channel makes you an authority on that particular topic. So if I have a channel and my channel is about electrician in Florida and all my videos are electrician, Florida, and I have 100 of them and it's only that, chances of me getting one in there is highly relevant. The second way is traffic and clicks going to that video. Those are the only two ways.
So how important is the playlist in regard to that? How would you structure that, Chris or Craig?
The playlist to me is just like siloing on your website. You have your main topic, your main video, and then you have supporting videos underneath it. So I want to rank in Houston, but then I want to put all my municipalities underneath that. So the playlist is Houston, but then here's town, city, 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 town, town, town. You see, that's how I look at it.
So how would you translate that over into affiliate marketing, Craig?
I mean, YouTube videos can get a lot of traffic, and you can basically, sell, have links under there promoting a product or a tool or whatever it might be. Videos is something that it's like a new web page, if you like. People can't be bothered reading, 3,000 words of content on how to do something. Let me give you an example. If I buy something in the house, like to flat pack build it and the instructions are crap, I go to a YouTube video to understand very quickly in a short video how to put that thing together. And people are the same, whether it's SEO or whatever it's going to be. People want videos. I learn better from watching a guy doing it, like Chris Palmer. He shows how he's doing it. He shows me screen, boom, 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 boom. That's it. So you can do that and force people over to your affiliate website or product or whatever it's going to be. People are looking for that stuff, but it comes down to ranking that video in the first place. That's where you're really going to make money from an affiliate marketing point of view. If your video goes viral or it ranks really well on there, you're going to get a lot of sales. And I get a lot of affiliate sales through the videos that I make. Chris does too, I'm sure.
Is there a particular length of video you found more effective, or is that a factor?
I mean, I've got loads of videos. Some of them, like I do with Chris, are an hour long, where we can rank these videos really well. But does someone really want to watch us gabbering on for an hour to get that quick thing? So for me, probably between 4 and 7 minutes is the kind of optimal time. That's not from me, by the way. I've seen that statistic somewhere. But if I'm giving an information video, I try and go straight into it. I have my intro, straight into what I'm talking about, and say what I've got to say and show what I've got to show, and bang, I'm out of there. Because there's nothing worse. I've done it again, watched a video and a guy's talking about himself and all that, for 4 or 5 minutes. And I'm just like, dude, I just want to see what you're using. Come on, stop it. So I think you need to keep them short and sharp, because that's what people want. People drop off of videos very quickly. So you need to capture them right at the start. No waffle, no nothing.
Yeah, really, attention span is not what it was 20 years ago, is it? I mean, it's here and now. Chris, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, if you have an audience, longer is better, because I can accumulate watch time, which is going to boost me up. Also, the magic number is 8 minutes, because that's where monetization starts, but you have to have 1,000. Aside from that, length depends on what's ranking in YouTube or in the SERP. So if I do a search term and I look in Google and there's a video carousel, if I look at those videos, and they're probably all the same length. Secondly, if I'm looking in the search results in YouTube and I'm looking at the videos and they're all 8 minutes, my videos needs to be 8 minutes. So it's just like ranking in Google, in my opinion.
Good. So how would your strategy be different if you were trying to rank a video as opposed to ranking a web page?
If I was starting fresh and I would cheat. I would have to start sending clicks and traffic over there immediately. If I'm just starting brand new, a video is going to be, I'm going to pick my keyword, pick my niche, and I'm going to hammer that keyword to become an authority. And then really the one that I'm focused on, I need to get traffic and clicks over there any way possible to have any chance of ranking. You might get lucky, but it's just SERP variance. Like, you might get lucky and get one in there, but you're not going to be at the top without clicks and traffic.
I had one question about audio. Is it worthwhile to rank for audios, MP3s?
100%.
Or should you only focus on ranking for web pages and videos?
I right now, I love, you mean maybe podcasting?
Yes.
And getting distributed 1,000%. It's so easy. If you're already making the video, just transfer it over and put it in podcast. I love it. 100% do it.
The great thing about the software that both Chris and I use for streaming, it's called StreamYard. It gives you the MP3 and the MP4. So I can do a video with Chris and I can release it as a podcast as well, which makes that, why not distribute that information? Because some people don't like watching videos. Some people would rather walk to work and listen to what we're saying. I think the visual thing is really important for people like me, but I try and cater for everyone, because people do say, why don't you put that out there? So I'm starting to now put those audio clips or audio videos out, not audio videos, audio out there onto a podcast and as many other places as I can, because it makes perfect sense to do that.
And it gets picked up. And a quick tip too, if you use Anchor, you can just take the video and drag and drop the whole video. It just does it all automatically. And now that there's Spotify, they're just distributing it. So do it.
Nice share, guys. Thanks. So here's a question I thought was interesting. How important is it to optimize for alternative search engines like DuckDuckGo?
Maybe not DuckDuckGo, but your Yahoos and Bings of the world. It's 100%. I don't see why you wouldn't, because it's relatively easier for a lot of keywords to get in there. And there are people that use it or it wouldn't be there. So there's still opportunity. I want to take all opportunities I could get. So I'd go for it, definitely.
So I want to speed through some of these questions. I get mesmerized by your answers, just like those watching do. So here they come. So get ready. Just feel free to answer at any point. So can you share some major recent changes in SEO that no longer work as compared to a year ago?
Am I supposed to be going first? I'm so sorry.
Either one.
I feel like I'm taking Craig's spot here. Changes that have happened in SEO that no longer work. Again, if we go back to it all works. It's just the level of how much it works. So everything that you go and read probably still works. It just doesn't work as good as it did. Looking at the exact match anchors or exact match domains, looking at that still works, just not like it used to. It's all the same, really.
I mean, I think that question is one of those ones that is really difficult to answer. I think, in terms of click-through rate and engagement over the last year, I think, Google really have caught up a lot on the bots and everything else that are doing that, as have YouTube. So if you are using the likes of, crappy bots out there, Crowd Search Me and various other ones that I think Google know their IP range and everything else. They know what they're up to. So I think in terms of CTR, I've seen a lot of that stuff not working as effectively. Tools have to be developed. The IP ranges have to change. And we know what works. Chris will tell you, we've spoken a great deal on our show about what works. People at Holly Starks are running around with 100 phones. Chris has got his Android emulators and all this weird setup. So we know what works and we know what these tools need to do, but there's not enough people using those tools for them to make those big changes. So a lot of the CTR stuff for me is no longer effective, and it was working probably a year, for the past couple of years. It's no longer that effective. So we have to bend the rules and understand what is the next answer. And that's where people like Holly Starks testing 100 phones. Does this stuff still work? Yes. Do I want to run around with 100 phones? No. So we need to find something in between that we can manipulate to make that stuff work. So that's what I've seen changing.
Okay, you mentioned Holly. So who would you tag as the premier YouTube marketer who can manipulate and bend what others may not be willing to do? I think it's Holly, but I don't know.
Personally, I've known Holly for a number of years, and I've watched her from afar. She's been doing stuff for a long time on YouTube. She is, aggressive as you like, and in a nice way, in terms of bending the rules. She is absolutely insane, and she's taught me a lot about YouTube over the years. So, I would say Holly is up there. There's certain other guys, though, that I'm not going to mention, who are absolute dirty dogs, but they don't want to be publicly named, who are absolutely doing stuff that would blow your brains over and above what Holly does. But Holly publicly, is killing it and has been for the last 5 or 6 years on YouTube.
So how does non-search engine derived traffic affect your SEO rankings?
Chris?
I think it's so I can only look at one example. If I go drop 10,000 mail pieces in a particular area, is that going to affect my business and the rankings overall in the long run? And the answer is definitely. So yes, I think that non-search engine derived traffic definitely still affects the search engine and everything else.
So here's one that everyone wants to know is, are there any very powerful SEO hacks that have remained consistent throughout all the algorithm changes?
Hacks consistent. Well, I think a lot of the on-page stuff, stuffing the iframes. I mean, extended title tags, keeping out the meta descriptions. I don't know. There's tons of them, man. Could go on and on and on. A lot of them. I don't know. Craig?
What to a lot of people is SEO fundamentally hasn't changed in a long time. Content and links, obviously what type of links and what type of content you're putting out there, the positions of your links, things like maybe Google not giving huge importance now to links in the kind of footer because everyone was spamming that to death, and things like that have changed. But where I think a lot of people are, they're looking for some magic bullet and this trick that's not there. The basic fundamentals, and Chris mentioned it earlier, are always being missed. Good on page hasn't changed. Good link building hasn't changed. Of course, we're swaying more towards relevancy, and we're trying to steer away from directory links as we all probably were 10 years ago. So I think the basic fundamentals haven't really changed. Things have evolved, and some of the goalposts have, of course, been moved, but it's up to you to keep up to date and test so that you can figure out how much value it can be gotten from a particular type of strategy.
Very good. Very good. So here's I don't know how much more time you guys can take. I don't want to, impose on your life, but here's a question that is basically the same question I had from several people. What are the 7 most important steps to take when doing SEO? You've mentioned a lot of those already. Maybe you can capsule those.
Analyze the competitor. Match and mirror the on page. One page, one answer. Don't skimp on quality. Like we're talking about links now. And then the last piece is use multimedia facets. Like embedding the videos, creating the audio, make sure it's a full spectrum of your marketing, I would say. So if I had to do 7, that would be it.
You want to add to that, Craig?
I'm not sure what I can add to. He's basically stolen a lot of stuff. Chris has pretty much hit the nail on the head there with his answers. I think for me, what I would give, in terms of people listening to me and giving advice, is do not just think about SEO. Do think about distributing that content. So when I release a blog post, if I release a video or a podcast, it also gets made up into a blog. It also gets distributed in YouTube as a podcast, on the social media, out to the mailing list and everything else. So make sure that you are using what you're using, whether it be a video or a piece of content, and try and put it across multiple different channels and cover as much as you can with that one piece of content, because that piece of content, can be bent into so many different shapes, and trying to distribute that across multiple different channels, purely because I believe driving traffic from the likes of YouTube and everything else back to the website or whatever is going to create a lot of clicks, a lot of engagement, and that's essentially what you want to do, is create this big wheel of stuff that all funnels back into your website or your Facebook group or your sales page or whatever the hell it's going to be. So that's essentially what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's big too. Own your traffic. So like try to get it to like your own Facebook group, get them on your blog. And then another key element, you'll hear this a lot and you'll think it's old. The email list is so, you just click the button and you make money. I mean, if you're in like it is key and essential, no matter what you do, make sure you're getting them on that list. So
absolutely.
Essential.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And, you know, guys, I want to thank you both for sharing. We only got to like question 39. Maybe we should do just one more question. So it's an even 40. I don't like odd numbers. Okay?
I'll run through them all. I'll give you the fastest answers ever.
All right, let's do it. And, you know, Craig, you're welcome. Stay if you can. I know you're somewhere else right now, Craig. So here's a question. On a blog, which is more relevant for SEO, categories or tags?
Irrelevant. Categories.
Categories for me as well. No
Most
tags.
important ranking factors right now and a dirty trick that boosts rankings really fast.
Most important factors right now. Title, URL, H1, and exact match anchor text anchors coming into that page for what the title is about. Dirty trick is stuff in YouTube video embed code.
Is there one SEO technique you would recommend to expedite first page rankings, and what would it be, and how can it be best applied?
Micro workers. Pay somebody to search for your keyword, click on your site, click through to another page, and then leave. That's the very long story short, though.
Okay, I don't think either of you really use this very much or as a go-to, but which WordPress plugins would you recommend for easier search engine optimization?
All-in-one and WP Rocket.
I'll agree with both. I use both of those as well.
So once you put up a website, how quickly can search engine data be found by Google?
Instantly, but it's going to be at least 90 days before we start getting, that trickle we're looking for. And then we can start hammering away more.
Which is more important, being indexed or crawled by the search engines?
Crawled is most important. I have to be crawled to be indexed.
Right.
Yeah. But if you had to force one or the other, indexed is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In the past, you've been able to use keyword generated domain names to get greater search engine rankings. Is that still possible?
Dynamic domains. I still see guys doing that, but you're getting really gray hat there. I still see it working. Most notably not in the United States. So you can do it, dynamic domains, but it's super gray hat, relatively technical, and it really doesn't that effective in the US.
So Craig, have you found it easier to rank into what persons in the US might consider a foreign market as opposed to ranking in the US?
Yeah. I mean, listen, for me, worldwide, a lot of people obsess over the UK or the US in particular, because so many people, so much money and all that stuff. Now, going to rank well in a European market, Eastern Europe and stuff like that, spam still works very, very well. The search engines, for sure, are a lot more aggressive in the UK and the US. So you can get away with a lot more in certain countries, and spam still works. So you can literally make a ton of money focusing on the German market, the Swedish market, or whatever it might be. It's 10 times easier than America.
Good, good. Is it better to spend a lot of money and time optimizing a website for SEO purposes, or to just act naturally and let your site organically, based on your post and your shares, get your customers?
Don't go organic. Spend your money up front. Pay the price now, so you can pay any price tomorrow. So no, get your money on the table now. Get your content, build your links. No, don't organic. No. Spend your money and build out a property, an asset that's going to return back that investment. Always, definitely.
Here's the depend question. What is better, SEO or PPC? Pay-per-click.
SEO. Come on. I think they go hand in hand in a way. But SEO for me, because I like to play long. If you want money right now, PPC. But if you're playing long game, I think SEO is the way to go. I like
someone just beginning to market online as an affiliate marketer, which is better, to structure and build for the long game, as Chris just mentioned, or to get the quick cash? I mean, realistically, what happens if you don't get quick cash for most people?
Yeah, see, that's exactly, if you have a nest or whatever to sustain your life functions, then play long. But for right now, I mean, you need both. You need that harmony, so
Start out with PPC and start to invest what you can in SEO, and then try and reverse that. So a lot of your money is in the long-term thing, and you can reduce your pay-per-click spend would be a wise move.
There you go.
Good, good, very good. Are titles and web pages still important or less important than they used to be?
Very, very important.
I would agree.
What's the key and most straightforward implementable, can't even say that word. What is the key and most straightforward way to SEO rankings to see an increase?
You have a keyword. I put it in the URL. I put it in the title, the H1, and then the lead H2. I get it in my first 200 words, also at the very end of the content. And then I build anchor text with that same keyword coming in. Bam, we're optimized.
What is KPI in SEO?
Key performance indicator. So it's just something that you're tracking. It's a KPI. Like
so it might be your keywords or your
could be anything. Yeah.
Money.
Any money.
Yep. I would agree with you, Craig. Bottom line. So what's the best SEO strategy for 2021?
Craig said it, content and links.
Yeah.
Okay, we're up to about 50.
All right.
Very few now. All right, you ready?
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to stall here till I find the question. Okay. Here's one.
Mm-hmm.
While it's frowned upon to buy backlinks, what is one strategy to get quality backlinks?
Well, we gave away some quality ways, but it's not frowned upon to buy backlinks. Everybody does. Either you're buying content for guest posts or but the easiest, fastest way is take your competitors, put them in the SEMrush, see their backlinks, and then just start picking off the links that you can just go build, or you're able to easily build. Like just literally email the person or just go build the link. So that's the easiest way.
Is buying leads a good way to generate leads?
We buy link lists. We buy lead lists all the time for mail, for phone numbers. We need name, address, phone number. Qualified leads are all, yes, I buy them all the time. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, whether you're doing SEO or PPC, you're buying customers. You're investing your money, your time, your effort. So
buying leads is $5 a lead sometimes. Oh yeah, it's.
Why wouldn't you? That's
important
to ask yourself.
Are backlinks really that important in today's world?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're up to I've four more, guys.
Sure.
Let me find the four here. Okay. So okay, Craig, if I had asked my customers, my clients to ask questions that they wanted answers to, if you'd been one of my clients or customers, what question would you have submitted that I asked you guys today?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I mean, I like the YouTube questions. I think a lot of people are not tapping into YouTube as much now. So I would be looking to, I think those are good questions because, some of the questions are obviously fairly basic, but I think the YouTube and how that works and how you can monetize that and drive traffic and everything else from YouTube, those questions were the ones that I would be thinking that you should be digging on. So those ones.
Yeah.
And Chris?
I'm in the same boat. I have the SEO down pretty much. I'm always looking for what's the alternative ways to optimize on other platforms. Like we know content links. Okay, but how do I drive from LinkedIn? How do I drive from YouTube, Twitter? Like what's work? Like I like those questions a lot too. I have to agree. How can I get more traffic?
Okay, last three questions. One, what's the most important on-page SEO technique?
Most important?
Most important.
Well, for me, it's definitely analyzing and knowing the keyword that I want to target, right? And then secondly is finding a tool that I can trust. So whether it's Page Optimizer, probably Page Optimizer Pro, having a tool that I can follow a guideline that's going to give me an optimal result faster than me sitting there and analyzing like, okay, word count, density, variation. Like it's just mind numbing. So pick a tool, whatever tool, go for one keyword and then write up whatever the tool suggests, do it. That's the strategy.
Right.
I mean, I would tend to agree with that. And I think that's something a lot of people don't do, is the initial research that comes with that. Because how many keywords or how many words should an article be? Is it 500, 1,000, 1,500? I think that initial research is so important to on-page SEO now, because otherwise, if you don't do that research and use something like POP or Surfer, then what the hell are you optimizing for? You're not optimizing properly. So that one step is so important to the rest of on-page SEO. We know that the URL is important, the headers, subheaders, content, and all that kind of stuff. But that initial research has just not been done by enough people. It's just wild out there. People are guessing and just spraying and praying and hoping for the best. And that's not good. Very good.
Very good. And what are the best ratios of anchor text when building out your anchor text plan or profile?
See, I might vary from a lot of people, but for me, I don't waste links. If I'm building a link, it's either going to be an exact, a partial, or a branded. That's it. You know, if it's not something of value, then why am I building it? Yeah. Sometimes you have to take what you can get, but because if it's a high authoritative domain and they're picking that it's going to be naked, okay. But if I'm going out and buying links, it has to be one of those three elements.
You're not going to pay $1,000 for a link in the New York Times, for example, and use a kind of naked URL or something complete random. You want your brand partial match or exact match where possible. Mix that up as much as you can, but you're going to have citations and stuff as well, which you can get your naked URLs and call it whatever you want to mix all of the kind of anchors up, when you're doing citations and stuff. And so you can really get that mix up there. But Chris is right. Don't waste your money on garbage that is important.
Okay, you mentioned this earlier, Craig, and I think Chris also alluded to it. Where today would it be easiest and best, perhaps, for someone who is just starting out to earn money online? Would it be with affiliate marketing, doing work with GMBs, or what would you suggest?
I think if you have I think Craig might be able to answer, but for me, I'm trying to get away from the GMBs. I think it's difficult. I'm finding trouble. The only reason I'm able to succeed is because we have a brand and they have money, right? I'm spending their money. But if I had to just jump in, I can build a site and be able to launch something based off of their brand and their relevance. You know what I mean? I can sell their product. Affiliate's the way to go, in my opinion. Affiliate is where the money's at.
My answer would be slightly different. Affiliate's not for some people. Client money is a great way to get quick cash flow. So it really comes down to your personality as well. I don't like working with clients, so affiliate really suits me personally, and I can be myself. I don't want to do all that corporate stuff and hand holding people and stuff like that. So affiliate's a great option for me personally, but that doesn't mean setting up an agency or doing client work. There's money can be made in any angle you want to do it. You can be a site audit guy. You don't even have to be doing full-on client work. You can be a link builder. You can be an affiliate guy. Be whatever you want. Focus. You can be a content writer. You can make. People have made millions of pounds on just setting up content marketing agencies. So you really can find what you enjoy. That's what I would say. What I hated was running an agency, managing people and having the phone going all the time. It was overwhelming, stressed the life out of me, and I ended up jacking it in. So, do what you enjoy. Here's the thing. I was running an agency and I thought it'd be cool to tell people down the pub, yeah, I've got 17 staff and, all this stuff. The only person I was kidding on was myself. I wasn't sleeping at night because I was shitting my pants on how I was going to pay everyone on the Friday because so-and-so didn't pay or so-and-so dropped out. So, you know, don't kid yourself on. Find where the money is. Forget all that other stuff and just have some money in your back pocket, and opportunities arise from there.
That's right.
Great. Listen, last question for both of you. How can those watching or my clients and customers, how can they continue to benefit from you? How can they get in touch with you? Where can they access your training? Chris?
I think the best place to find me is Chris Palmer SEO on YouTube. And then if you need to reach out, maybe you need help walking through something, just chrispalmer.com. So CHRSPLMR.com.
Craig?
I'm similar. CraigCampbellSEO.com is the website. And you can also find me on YouTube, Craig Campbell SEO. But you'll find me, I'm quite easy to find online. Just Craig Campbell SEO. Get me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever suits you. And yeah, always happy to speak to people. So get in touch.
Great, guys. Listen, I appreciate both of you being on here. I began this virtual webinar by saying action takers are the money makers. You guys are action takers. And I hope those that are watching will also be action takers. So guys, thanks again. Appreciate both of you, everything you've shared, and you're welcome back anytime. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Bless.